Sarah Noked here, and welcome back to our channel. Now, in today's episode, I have a very special guest, Ramona Hooper, an online business manager who is joining me to talk all about what a day in the life of an online business manager looks like. And I'm really excited to dive into this. We get into some of the nitty-gritty around tech and how she has made the online business management role her own. So stay tuned for this great interview. Hey, welcome, Ramona, a day in the life of an OBM. I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome. So, Ramona, can you just take a second and explain a little bit about yourself? I know we've already kind of introduced you, but from your own words, a little bit about yourself and how you found our OBM space.
Oh, I'm so thankful to be here today. You're one of my favorite people, so thank you for that. As indicated, I'm Ramona Hooper. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I had been at the same corporate IT professional job for 23 years. And within 5 days of each other, my husband and I both lost our corporate high-paying jobs. And so I had to figure out something else real quick. Of course, like so many people with all the impacts of the pandemic, we're dealing with virtual school, shutdowns, just a lot of impact from that. And then my husband also had health issues to add into the mix because why not, right? He had a stroke, he had heart problems. Just a few things came up all at once. It was the most hectic season I've ever had in my whole life. So I was just open to ideas of what I could do. And I had already started on the path of becoming a virtual assistant through the Free Mama program. And they had highlighted
Shout out to Lauren,
right? She's so awesome. And then they had highlighted OBM, and your name came up quite often in that space. You're very well regarded. And I looked into it. I went on to your call on January 1st. I signed up
last year.
Of
this year, 2021.
Yeah, 2021. I signed up and then I scheduled out the content to be prepared to write the exam in April. It was the most hectic scenario of my life. Like, I don't even know how I fit it in. I don't think I slept much. Best thing I've ever done in my whole life. Every single thing has become manageable and flexible. And yes, I have a lot of moving parts in my life still, but it's all possible as a result of creating a space that can accommodate all that as an OBM.
Yeah, I love that, Ramona. And I'm so grateful to have you here in our space today talking about what it looks like. And I think it's really important to highlight the fact that everybody's journey is really different and unique. Yeah. So a lot of us here listening today, we love to hear about your unique day in the life of an OBM. Can you let us know, what does a typical day look like for you? I know you've got your son, you take care more or less of your hubby these days. What does that look like?
So I have a plan, do, review methodology. I come up with a plan and then I fit it into little pockets of my schedule. So the first plan is for the month and then for the week and then for the day. And so I pocket in all the things I have to deal with, like my hubby's, rehab or for a stroke, my son's school and activities. And then I go, what are my chunks to work that are uninterrupted? And then I fill those in. And a day in the life for me, like today, for example, I get up, I came on to this call, and then after this call, I have a quick website to build. And then after that is launched, I have to fill in 2 spots for next month to make sure that my schedule continues to be packed. My work schedule tends to be around 25 hours a week, sometimes 20. And I fit that in, right? And my old life, I used to work 70 hours a week and get paid for 40. So I am over the moon happy with this new scenario. Like I can't even, this smile hasn't stopped since I.
Are you meeting what you made in your high paying corporate job?
Yes. It took me 1 quarter to replace my old salary. And now I'm working to replace my husband's old salary as well. Because why not?
I just got chills. That's amazing.
And then
honestly,
we had a talk a while ago and you're like, what are your big goals? I'm like, I want a couple commas. Yeah. And my reason for that is there's this social thing I heard a long time ago that said it's morally irresponsible to be a billionaire. So why not make $1 billion and then give a ton away? I mean, why not have a big, hairy, audacious goal? Now, I don't see that happening in the next quarter or so. But if I veer along with running a lean business and having growth in mind and having what I'm capable in mind, and then continuing to cover what I need and then cover what I want to share, I think it's a solid business plan.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's working right now. Tell me a little bit about what your client roster looks like. You talked about acquiring 2 more clients this month. What does a full roster look like to you?
So a full roster to me is I typically have one long-term client, 90 days or so for a project and a launch. And that's usually a little bit more complex, a business that's a little more developed, usually high 6, early 7-figure scenario. And then I fit in between 4 and 6 VIP days. And those tend to run between $500 and $1,000 per time. And I start those with a tech stack review. I help them optimize what they have, but they're not using. I make a recommendation, and then I will either leave them with a Google Data Suite dashboard so they can see everything in one place because that frees up time and so forth, or I automate their calendar because so many people got successful in spite of themselves. And those little tweaks help them claw back the most time the quickest.
Oh, clawing back time. I mean, it's really the only thing that we can't get back. I bet your clients love you for those lovely dashboards. There's nothing like clarity around metrics and what's really going on in the business that, my God, bless these, successful despite themselves clients because they just don't have these things in place.
I feel like technology should be a silent, effective partner. Like you don't have to be techie to run a business. If you hire someone that can take care of some of the things that you don't have, then you're just in a stronger place. And some of the OBMs lead with marketing and they'll farm out some of the techie things. That's okay too. Like I just happen to lead with tech and then I'll get help with some of the copywriting or, the marketing, things like that. And that's the beauty
and
of
knowing what to delegate and when to delegate is a fine art. Kelly is being a troublemaker today. I took him on a walk so that he would nap. But as you can see, he does not want to nap. So he'll just eat he'll eat the fake cactus. Good. So tell me a little bit about your transition, because I know you were in the VA space for a hot second, working with Lauren Golden at the Free Mama, who we love. How did you know that OBM was a better fit? What were the events leading up to having you make that decision? And I know that you have that niche in tech, or you sort of lead with tech rather. So would you say that you're a generalist OBM, or would you say that you're more of a tech focus?
I lead with tech, and I definitely qualify myself as a specialist given the experiences I have and the skills I'm willing to always develop. I noticed that I was doing OBM work as a VA. And I also noticed what the pay structure looked like for an OBM. And without the OBM title, it was a little bit difficult or challenging to get paid what was fair for the work that I was doing. And I also was helping a lot of VAs, and I was like, I feel like I'm just ready to keep developing on my journey. And I loved being a VA, but I just felt ready to just keep going with my journey. And I also feel like if you were to go to a gym, and you might have someone that is a newer trainer, or you might deal with a kinesiologist.
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
You're still getting it done, something right. But I just feel like as you develop more skills and you have a specific need, you're good. I recommend VAs all the time. I hire VAs all the time. You've laid out really well the difference between a VA and OBM. And like one is leading and one is doing. And one, there's all the differences between the two. And I just felt I more naturally veered into being able to pinpoint what the problem is, coming up with some ideas for a solution. And then that was the direction that we kept going over and over again. I'm like, I think that's an OBM.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thanks, Ramona. That's great. And when it comes to your clients, I want to dig in more into these client pieces. I think, you've given us some insight into what your roster looks like, that you have that one big client and a few project-based VIP day clients, which is fantastic. I'm all about, me dating projects and really seeing if the client's a good fit before, especially over at OBM school. What kinds of clients get you excited?
The people that are successful in spite of themselves. So they have a zone of genius, but you can come in and help the most with that. And they can see the value of that the quickest. Now, when you were saying like, where do clients come from and how to do that? When I first started, I felt a little bit of a sense of a failure to launch. I think that's pretty normal as an OBM. I was like, where am I going to get clients? Or I would go through a process to secure somebody and they'd be like, oh, do you have an example? Or do you have this? Do you have a resume? Or like all these kind of questions. And I had to stop for a moment and go, what can I do about this? Like, what can I tangibly do about this question that keeps coming up? And I realized I'm in business. I can use my own business as
as a showcase for how amazing we are as OBMs. Yes.
Right. And so when I'm recommending a tech stack, I'm like, this is what I have and why. And so here's my PM tool, here's my CRM tool, here's my automated this, here's my payment, and here's how I send documents back and forth. And when they need an example, if I've ever signed any non-disclosures, and sometimes I do, I got caught into a really techie thing and they're all this stuff was private. So all these juicy examples I couldn't share with anyone. So I was like, I can make my own juicy example. And then I also did a couple of tiny offers so that I could showcase, well, here's the whole process for a launch. A mini one takes this long, a medium takes this long, a big one takes this long. And that really helped me stay busy, keep my mindset right, and just keep growing forward. And then I got excited about the work. I learned what I liked. I learned what I wanted to delegate through the process. And I just highly recommend it. And I followed by money. So in our community, we were pretty heavily impacted by the pandemic. Who hasn't? It's a global event.
Right.
And I talked to my son's Taekwondo instructor. I'm like, do you have automated scheduling? Do you want to remove some touch points? Do you want to schedule?
You are an angel.
And I said, do you want to film out some of the things that you do so if people can't come to class, they can still keep up, right? The next one was my dog groomer. No scheduling, no this, no that. I went, do you want a scheduling? Do you want a form? Do you want to qualify who's coming in? Like, do they have any health concerns? So I created a form and I created a thing. Next person, I created a website. So I just started following my money in my community because I started there. And then I was like, refer me. Like, tell people that I saved you time or money, or write me a little referral.
That's so smart. Yeah, that's so smart. Or put up a thing on your wall that's promoting my services to your people. And that's great. That's such a good strategy for local business. Are you hearing this, people listening here? Here's a fantastic strategy of putting yourself out there, helping other people, which is what we love to do. And also recognizing that our zone of genius is actually a very strong zone of genius that can be, brought into so many different kinds of businesses. I think, Ramona, the thing that you brought up, which I think is so important to highlight, is this notion that, there's customer relationship management tools, there's automation tools, there's project management tools. But, when push comes to shove, most businesses are using either the same project management tool that we use as OBMs or something mildly different, but it all works the same. And, for those of us who are on this, mission to understand technology. Like I literally, before this call, I was speaking to another OBM who was like, I can't stop researching this role. I can't stop researching all the things. It's like sort of like research procrastination, and just recognizing that, we will figure it out as things go. And if, the Taekwondo instructor has a Taekwondo CRM, it's not going to be so different from the CRM that we're already using in another business. They're all, especially the service as a software, service as a software, the SaaS products that are on the market these days are all more or less the same. You got one, you learn one project management tool, you can apply those same principles to the next one.
Do you want me to share how I learned at Mach Speed and Keep Up on the tech?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I didn't realize this was a feature because it doesn't take me much time. But when you realize that sharing it helps other people, I've just started talking about it a lot in the last quarter, and it's been really successful for people. So when I take on anything, like Data Google Suite, I didn't know how to do a dashboard when I first started as an OBM last January. I went, what does this tool do? Okay, that became my checklist. And then against the checklist, do I know what these things are? Or do I have to learn what these things are? That makes me a beginner. When I start utilizing the tool and flipping through the thing and creating some results, I'm an intermediate. When I am really quick and I'm efficient and I can troubleshoot and I can troubleshoot and I could teach somebody else, I'm in advance. I then document what I've done and I set it aside as an SOP because skills are perishable. But every time you have imposter syndrome and you're like, I don't know what to do. That's what you do. You can either revisit a skill, develop a skill, enhance a skill, and just keep on trucking. And when people start realizing that they can self-assess that if they're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, how to do that, and then what your next steps are, you'll never be stuck and you can keep up.
I love that. And I love that little tidbit about the Google Data Suite. Great. So is that something that you use with a lot of your clients?
Most. I don't think there's anyone that I get involved with that doesn't have a dashboard of some site, just because everything feeds into this little view for them. And they just, instead of going here and here and there and here and trying to keep it all straight,
over the place.
One view, right? And setting right so that some people can see it and other people can't, or, it's a beautiful thing. And most people have KPIs, or they should, or metrics.
Performance indicators. Yeah. Most people have them. Do they monitor them? I don't know. Do they think about what they should be? Maybe not. I don't know.
I had a funny takeaway last week. When you're dealing with statistics, all you're doing is reporting, right? Like you're, whatever it is, good, bad, or gnarly, or good results or bad results, you're just reporting. And I had a client last week ask if I can manipulate data. And I'm like, no.
For what reason would you manipulate data?
Just so it could look different for whatever.
To see like a projection of some sort.
May have been nefarious.
Right.
I don't know. But I said, I don't work with a green crayon. I work with statistics and I report them. I could redact them or whatever, but I do not modify data. So I just want to give you guys that careful tip that data can be scary. So if people see for the first time all their finances, like, ooh, they didn't know that they were
not profitable. Yeah.
Don't change it for them. Get them working on it.
Yeah. So when it comes to clients, I know you love the tech piece, but what kind of work really gets you excited? Like, what do you love doing with your OBM clients aside from dashboards and tech?
When I can simplify something and create an income stream for them, it's my favorite. Like, I didn't even know that I would tap into the membership thing or whatever, but everyone has a zone of genius. And if they can share it on a grand scale and leverage that time, people benefit from that, especially because if a business isn't brick and mortar, they've been impacted by the pandemic, some good, some bad, but they've had an impact. And the people I'm typically working with had a negative impact. They had this chunk of time where they couldn't work. So even if they're back in business now, they still have a chunk of time that they couldn't work. So even if we add that extra stream of income, how happy are they to find an actual beacon of hope that they can regroup or fix
and something extra, like something good that came out of the bad.
Right. And also it prepares them. If something else happens, it's created an extra stream of income. So if something else happens or there's another wave, they can feel a little bit more okay, a little bit more secure at night.
Yeah, I think that is such a blessing. I mean, I know that we bring so much goodness to our clients' businesses. And I think when, as OBMs, we do try to focus on the things closest to the money, like supporting the client. Sometimes that can be very difficult. And sometimes it's hard to measure the impact we make as OBMs because it's not, we're not in sales, for example. But that's so interesting that you were able to create a passive-ish, because I don't know if I believe in passive revenue, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of work there, but like another stream of revenue that they didn't have before that now gives them hope. And it was a lot different from what they did before, which is so amazing in so many different ways. You mentioned the membership piece.
Yes.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
So I kept hearing OBMs did launches and I was like, what do you mean? Like just put something out in production? I didn't know what a launch meant in OBM reference. And typically it's you're creating like a course or a membership, or you're doing a big shift in migration of one system to another system, that kind of thing. So I came across the tiny offer and it walked through all the steps, but on a little scale. So for example, if you want to teach someone how to do a budget or finances, you have all the same components as a big launch. Like you have your landing page and your emails and, the way to pay, the way to enter the system, the content, and then, the follow-up and so forth. So by doing a tiny offer, I can do one a week. I just talk to people, and in the recommendation after the tech review, I'm like, hey, have you thought of this so that you can reach more people or grow, this stream on the side? We could deliver it in a week. And then I now have a portfolio of things I can show people of the different things that I've created. I'm like, well, a little scale looks like this, a medium scale looks like this, and a big scale looks like this. And I'm very confident now in the assessments I make because I know what it's going to take if I have to add in, editing, or if I have to add in this, or if it's a little, we're going to take your smartphone and just trim it around. Like it helped me build the skills I needed to do the task, have someone else do the task, and charge appropriately for the task when you factor in the time.
Right. So you have someone else creating this funnel sequence.
I do it.
Okay, so you do it. So do you have any people on your team right now?
I farm out the work. So for example, I will create the structure and I'm like, module 1 has these 2 videos and this content. And so I'll have the business draft up what they want for the thing. And then we'll have video editor edit the content. And then we have a copywriter review and brand the material that goes with it.
And this is all under your side of the piece. Yeah. That's great. So you're able to leverage team
Yeah.
to really, be able, because again, we're not video editors. I'm definitely not a copywriter. I don't know about you, don't like copy either.
I'm mad.
It's like recognizing our zone of genius and playing into our strengths. And yours, it sounds to me, it's the tech, it's the strategy, it's the understanding the concepts. And, I think what is so magical here is that you're able to take what the client has and put it into something a little bit different in a way that they've never been able to see. And what a blessing that is for those lucky people that get to work with you.
You had talked also about the agency model. Well, I wasn't sure what I wanted to sign up with. I'm a really effective team of me.
Right.
The little agency model, I was curious about that. So I'm like, okay, here's onboarding, here's offboarding. Well, when I go in to work on a team now and I'm onboarding and offboarding, that skill comes from that place in the virtual space. Like used to do it corporately. That was quite a different process. There was HR, there was all these things. And so to develop that skill from this place, it allowed me to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So do you have any sort of words of wisdom you would offer somebody who might be thinking about stepping into the OBM shoes, besides all of the amazingness that you've shared with us, especially about the failure to launch, guys?
Yeah. If you have a failure to launch, you just stop and then do a plan to review. So my plan is this, what am I going to do about it? And let's review how that's going. And sometimes you throw that whole little cycle away and you start again, but don't change the goal. If your failure to launch, that's like having one slashed tire on your car. Don't slash the other three.
Yeah. If you're like me, you drive with that slashed tire. Then your husband's like, what? You broke the whole rim.
You're like, what's a light? I mean, the light was pretty on the tent. I'm just kidding. I want to encourage people to realize that they are more capable of what they think. If you have that inner little voice, you got to stop being mean to yourself. You got to start trusting your intuition. Like women in business, their best and their worst feature is their intuition and their ability to multitask, right? Yeah. So I used to work in a very male-dominated area. And I mean, more women came along towards the end. But for the first 15 years of my role, I mean, I was like the only girl.
Wow.
And it was so funny because that was my best and my worst feature. So I carried that into here. And I feel like some people need that as part of their OBM toolbox, is like, just recognize it and go, you're thinking about 10 things and there's one thing on the table. I go, how awesome is that? If you can keep the main thing and approach it with logic and less emotion, and you repeat that cycle over and over again, you're unstoppable.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I think so often we doubt our own abilities. We don't necessarily listen to our intuition, especially when it comes to maybe vetting out a client. We're like, well, they're okay. Despite my, inner, bubbly feelings, I'm just going to go ahead with this client. So I think that is a really important thing to remember, is that we really do need to give ourselves credit where credit is due. And I find just with our OBM community in general, like, things that come really naturally to us, like being able to organize or recognizing a mess and desiring to clean it up, or, just being really great at managing people because we care about people and we're just empathetic beings. These are all our strengths that oftentimes OBMs won't charge for or won't lead with, because they're like, well, it comes so naturally to me. Like, how could I charge for something like that? I'm like, no, that's actually the exact thing that you need to be charging top dollar for, is that natural skill set that we, as women and as business owners and just as people, have our own strengths. So I think it's important to really bring that up and remind the listeners here today that, you really do have a lot to offer a potential client, and there's always room to grow. Like, Ramona, you've been in this business. Like, when would you say that you got, like, say, entranced with the online space?
When I was transitioning from being an employee to not being an employee and figuring out what to do, I was like, I'm just not willing to be an employee. I was one for 23 years. And I just went, okay, what are my options? And I just had this big eyes open, ears open approach to the whole thing. And I just knew that there's a solution out there. Like, I'm in Canada. So I was like, there's 38 million people here right now, and there's solutions everywhere. So I only need one of them. I only need one solution to this problem.
And the solution was, an international business where now I can serve global people. And it's not just 38 million. It's now, I don't know how many billions of people are there in this world.
And there's not a lot of OBMs in the world. So when I looked at how lucrative this is, that was amazing to me. The other thing that really hit me was in your call, one of your calls that we were on, you were talking about how, no, you charge for that. I'm like, I charge for that, but it only took me 10 minutes. And as a OBM business or a business owner in general, or anyone offering a service, they're not paying you because it took 15 minutes. They're paying you because of the solution you provided them. And you just saved them 3 hours a day.
Right. Or 10 hours seeking out that information on their own.
Correct. And they're paying for what got you to this place. And if you get okay with this being a earn while you learn business, then you're going to be unstoppable. And so I used to not charge to automate calendars. And you were like, are you crazy? I'm like, maybe. No,
I think so.
Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe I should charge. And I just have it as part of my little mini VIP day. And I just do it. And it's part of that package. But I'm paid well for that task. And some work has actually come from that. Like people say, can I meet with you? And I refuse to say, well, does Monday or Tuesday work? Or does afternoon or evening work? I go, here's a link to my calendar. And people have come in and they've been like, what the what?
Yeah, and you got a calendar
link. It's branded, it's cute, and it's instant. And work has come from that. So the more professional things you do to run your business, the more people are going to see that and desire that themselves. Yeah. So when somebody is used to working with someone and they go, does Tuesday work? Does Friday work? Does the morning work? Does that? And all this stupid 20 minutes back and forth. Right. When the meeting's only going to be 20 minutes and you get it done in a second, that's desirable.
Amen to that.
The other thing that can help is financial literacy. I know a lot of people head into business without financial literacy because I work with them and they get to a really reactive place.
Yes.
They don't know how to be proactive anymore. They're just overwhelmed. So I lead with tech. And my second thing is the finances because they are married. Like they could be a bad marriage or a good marriage, but if you work with us, it becomes a good marriage, right?
I hope so.
And I feel like if the word financial literacy or budgets or finances or income or assets or any of those things kind of give you that pit in the stomach, I want you to revisit that thing that I said a little while back about determining if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and develop that skill and document that skill. The principles for financial literacy are sound, but you will benefit so much in your own business as well as helping others in theirs if you lead with that.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens is as a professional, you're dealing with people that are in business making quite a lot of money. If you don't bring that, you could miss out on an opportunity because they need that.
I agree. And I think also one of the things that I often ask VAs who are transitioning to OBM or just people in general about the client, what are their financials? I'm never really surprised when the VA is like, well, I don't really know how much my client is making. And, well, how are you going to transition to OBM role if you don't have that aspect of financial literacy and you're not willing to ask those perhaps uncomfortable questions around revenue and profitability and where are we at and what are these revenue streams? It's such an important piece of the business. And, we encourage people to actually ask on their intake form as OBMs, how much are you making every month in revenue on average? Because it's important for us as OBMs to understand, what's the budget that we have to work with? Can we hire a team? Can we not afford team? Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? So it's a really good point, the financials.
And with that, your business cases come from that. So for example, when I go in and someone says, well, I just need you to fix this little thing, but I can't really afford you to be quick, be gone. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I table it and I go, okay, what if we create this stream of income and that pays for me whenever you need me on call, right? And what if we claw back this time so that instead of 4 hours a day, you're now on an income producing activity, which allows you to bring in this much more per week, per month, per quarter, per year. That pays for me and your holiday this year.
Right, exactly. And it has you focused more on what you do best and less on, VA tasks as the business owner when they, we oftentimes, when we want to do kind of busy work, we default to those sorts of tasks that aren't closest to the money.
And the Taekwondo place said, I can't afford you. And I said, okay, but right now you have a need to create a stream of income for the people that aren't coming to class. What if we do that?
Right.
And you pay me in 30 days, right? And so he did. And he now has the equivalent of a whole class of people in there that don't even come to the studio.
Place. Yeah.
And now when he needs something, he knows that I've got solutions like that in mind. And he knows the professionalism in mind. And that's where work can come from. So when you guys partner, whatever your special thing is, some people are marketing, some people copywriting, some people lead teams, some people are tech. Like there's niches that you can, I'm in Canada, so I don't know how you guys niche, whatever.
Who knows? We're international here. We say what we want.
You lead with that. But if you partner that with the finances and you understand how your component works with the finance, then you can always make a business case, a compelling business case to stay in business or grow somebody's business.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you, Ramona. One last question. I know we've taken up quite a bit of your time, and I really appreciate you being really transparent and honest about your journey. So one last question for you. How has being an OBM really impacted your personal life?
I was pretty frazzled by the time the end of my corporate career came. And I just sort of started again, like when the virtual school and then the OBM training came on board, I just decided to add in some healthy habits. It involved, okay, if I'm at home, I'm not moving much, so let's incorporate, working out. Let's get the water. Let's get, all
the
these
Peloton.
I did. I got a Peloton in my commute to work.
I would get one too, but you can't order them where I live. Do you believe that?
Oh, no.
I know.
Well, come see, I'll pack one.
Yeah.
And, like just the eating better. So all these healthy, awesome things happen in transition. And I just took a day-to-day approach to it. I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life. I'm 46, so I don't say that lightly. Like I've had a lot of years so far of, professional experience. And I've never had balance. I've never had flexibility. In my old world, I was expected to work 70 hours a week and get paid for 40. Every holiday I ever took, if I could even get them, they called me on my holiday with an emergency. So I never had a real holiday. I didn't even know what I said. I took a holiday with my family and I didn't get any calls. Like my phone was off. I was like, well, that's a holiday? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go back to the other kind of holiday.
No.
I'm helping people and I'm helping people on terms that work for the person and for me. So there's no person coming in to take, credit for my work or to set me aside because they get insecure of something that I could do. I'm just busy with work that I love. I'm working with people that I get to pre-qualify. Oh, I love Kelly.
What do you want, my love? You've destroyed everything in my office. Let me finish talking to Ramona.
It helps me. It just got me back in the driver's seat of developing skills because sometimes when you're an employee, you just get bogged down and you forget to put your learning first and your health first and the things that are outside of your work first. And since I became an OBM, my son gets the best of me, not the rest of me. So I don't see ever not being an OBM.
That's the most amazing thing ever. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Ramona. And thank you for coming on here and talking about a day in the life. And if we have people listening who want to get in touch with you, whether they're looking to hire an OBM or they want to learn more about becoming an OBM and want to learn more about what your world looks like, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram under Your Efficiency Guide.
Your Efficiency Guide. Love that.
And it's not super branded. It's more of like what my real life looks like outside of my work. And then Facebook, I'm under Ramona Hooper.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ramona, for coming on here and being so candid about your experience. And if you guys want to learn more about OBM School, you can head on over to obmschool.com to learn more about the program and to see if being an OBM is the right next move for you. Thanks, everybody, and see you next week for the next video. Take care, guys.